You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 271 for Sunday the 28th of July 2019.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's show. Well, by the miracle of computers and technology, I'm actually in Orlando while sat talking to yourselves. But don't worry, there's a cracking show ahead. As usual, you can contact us, info@disneydreamgirls.com, Instagram and Twitter @DisDreamGirls, Facebook page, don't forget to go and search that out, and last but not least, keep up to date with what's happening on our Facebook page for all the lovely awesomeness coming from Orlando right now.
Where dreams begin.
Well, whether you visit Walt Disney World once every few years or once a year, or fortunately, you might get to visit once a month, I wonder how many of you have turned around to the significant other in your life and said, I'd love to live here. Well, today's guests basically are doing that. In fact, Robert and Alyssa have lived here in Walt Disney World every day this year, and they're going to intend to keep on doing so until the end of the year. Intrigued? Well, let's welcome them to the Disney Dream Girls and find out a little bit more about them. Hi, guys.
Hi there.
So glad that you've been able to squeeze in your very busy vacation to chat to us a little bit about this project.
It's a very long vacation too, so it helps.
Well, let's start with finding out a little bit about you guys. Have you always been Disney fans? How did you meet? And then we'll go on to the idea that you've had that started in January. So let's just find out a bit more about you two.
So my name is Alyssa, and growing up, I loved Disney movies, watched them all, knew all the words to all the songs. My family brought some of us, not the others weren't born yet, so some of us came to Disney when I was 9, and then 10 years later, there were 2 more children, so we came when I was just out of high school with the family. So I'd been 2 times to Disney World, and we really enjoyed it, had a good time. We had I remember lots of rainy days. That does stick out in those memories there. And then that was it. That's the only time I'd been to Disney World. But I was a huge Disney fan, loved all the movies. And then Robert and I met in college through a mutual friend. She was friends with both of us. Neither of us actually knew the other, just about each other. So we started talking from there, and she kind of, chatted both of us up to each other to get that introduction going.
And then on our second date, I very stealthily asked her 2 questions point blank. And those were, do you like kids and do you like Disney? Because those were my 2 deal breakers. And the reason for that is I am the oldest of 11 kids. And so my youngest brother is 22 years younger than me. They're all still kids. And so if she didn't like kids, that would be kind of rough. And then also I grew up going to Disney World a couple times a year, pretty much as long as I can remember. So at that point when we were still dating, I had been to Disney World over 50 times, usually for a week or maybe a little bit longer. So it was kind of a big part of my life. And I've been a Disney fan since birth, basically. But that was kind of a big deal. And thankfully, she loved kids and loved Disney. So we kept dating and got married a couple years later and honeymooned here and on a Disney cruise, which was amazing. Highly recommend those if you have a chance.
We also went to Disney when we were engaged.
Yep. Came here when we were engaged, and then we come here a couple times since then. So before this year.
So basically, you're true Disney hardcore fans from the sounds of it then.
Yeah, I think you could say that.
Okay, so you had this idea. When did the idea first formulate in your mind? And then can you talk us through some of the things that you had to put in place in order to be able to carry it out?
Sure. So the initial spark of the idea happened, just like you mentioned. You're at Disney World, we're here, and it was our last day. We're waiting for Magical Express. And this was about, I think, 2.5 years ago.
Almost 3, yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, the statement was made, I don't want to leave. No one ever does. But we realized at that point, Robert was working from home, that we didn't actually have to leave that day. It was kind of the first time it really hit us what that meant. I was like, wait, we could stay. Like, if he could work here, like, we could actually stay longer. So the next time we came down, we planned a longer trip, but just planned a few days where we stayed at the resort and he did some work. And Robert owns a marketing agency. So as long as he had internet, he could work for our clients. So that next trip was really the first kind of experiment we did on it. And we kind of realized, like, we can stay here longer and longer. And from there, it was kind of like, I wonder if we could stay like a month. I wonder if that's possible. And then it turned into, Robert's really big on spreadsheets.
Yeah, I'm also a big dreamer as well.
Yes.
I tend to take ideas and they're multi-million-dollar ideas in like 30 minutes. Granted, they probably should never get off the ground, but you know, I can blow an idea out of the water. So the idea of staying for a couple weeks or a month was like, okay, well, what would that cost? It was like, well, if we're going to stay for a month, what if we just stayed for a whole year and like lived in one of the cheaper, like the value resorts, you know, like All-Star or one of the maybe Pop Century, since they were remodeling at the time. We were like, well, if we sold the house, that actually wouldn't be too bad. But, you know, that's crazy. We have to be adults. Well, we said that, but then I kept doing research and started thinking more about it. And it's like, well, if you're going to be here for a whole year, you don't want to stay in the same resort because there's so many different resorts. They've got different theming. You want to try them all. So I figured we'll do 2 weeks in each resort, and that would give us enough to stay in every resort pretty much. And then we kept looking at it like, well, yeah, but there's a big difference in, you know, the garden wing, garden view at the Contemporary compared to the theme park view in the tower at the Contemporary. So we kind of need to stay in different room categories. So what, like, how many are there? So that resulted in getting a comprehensive list of all the room categories, which then was like, okay, there's way too many of these. We'd be changing rooms every single night almost. Like, that's crazy. So instead, we went with the less crazy option of every 2 to 3 nights and staying in around 132 room categories throughout the year. So
Wow.
Yeah.
it just kind of went from one thing to another very quickly as we had the idea. And then we sat on the idea for about 6 months after we kind of fleshed it out. And we're like, no, we need to be adults, right? We're not, this is crazy. Like, we need to be responsible adults and have a house and all that good stuff. And we just kept coming back to it till finally last year in January, we were actually ending a 4-week road trip, and we were kind of talking about it and like, you know what, either we're going to do this or we're not. We got to make a decision. So we decided we were going to do it and started working on the house so we could fix it up and sell it, and planning all the other things around that would need to take place, as well as working on the business, hiring a few people to help with the workload and making sure that I'm not doing everything in the business, because then I would be working literally all the time while we're here. At least I can do some days where I enjoy the parks and stuff. So that's all been basically all of last year was preparing for this.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So this spreadsheet must be pretty epic.
Yeah, and it's still growing too. That's the crazy thing.
Disney keeps adding things.
They keep adding resorts and restaurants and activities and all kinds of things, tours.
Yep.
So did you start with all your plans and have the whole year fleshed out and say, right, this is what I'm doing, and have everything, every single duck in a row for the whole year? Or, as you say, is it completely still evolving?
Yeah, that would have been brilliant, but no, that's not exactly how we did it.
It's definitely still evolving.
I was actually just working on changing some rooms around before we got on to record this. So as different things come out, there have been different promos that were released. There have been availability with vacation club rooms, things like that are a little bit tricky sometimes. So we have most of the year booked, most of the rest of the year booked, and we are just constantly moving things around. So nothing is set in stone. Well, very few things are set in stone, I should say. Mm-hmm. And when we came down here at the beginning of the year, we didn't have any of it booked. So it's been a wild ride. We were waiting on our house to close, so we had the initial capital we wanted to use to book all of our first couple months of rooms, and the closing got pushed back a couple times, and so kind of messed up our timeline. Yeah. But we figured it out.
I know this, but perhaps you can explain it a bit more. The research you're doing on this trip, what are you going to feed it into as a finished product?
So ultimately, as we were traveling, we traveled 4 of the 12 months in 2017. And we kind of became like those Disney friends. Everyone has in their group of friends those Disney people. Everyone does. They know them. So we became those friends in our circle. And we started hearing stories of friends and family members. Some did not enjoy Disney as much as we would hope. And some of them didn't even want to come back to Disney. They just had terrible experiences. And that really obviously made us sad because we love Disney and the magic of it for everyone, no matter what age you are. And come to find out, a lot of it had to do with planning, whether it be poor planning or late planning. They didn't get the resort they wanted or the dining they wanted or even the fast passes they wanted. And we realized a lot of people just don't know. They don't know how far in advance they need to book things. They don't know which resort they should stay in if they have little kids or, if it's just the two of them coming as adults. And same thing with the restaurants. So we have been staying in all these room types and videoing and taking pictures in every room. And we've been putting it up on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And we have a website as well. We've been reviewing tours and restaurants just to show people how much Disney has to offer and how different things are too. Because a character meal is not really something that you want to take your teenagers to unless it's a character they love. But at the same time, you don't want to necessarily take your 2-year-old to the best steakhouse Disney has. So helping people see there's almost 200 restaurants here on Disney property in Florida, which is crazy to think about.
It really is mind-blowing when you look at the numbers like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And honestly, how do people decide where to go? How do they even know? They'll ask someone what they think, and that person's only been to, 15 of them? So they can only give their opinion on those. And so we are going to every single restaurant and reviewing it based on family friendliness, picky eater, whether we enjoyed the food, the atmosphere, and same thing going to all these rooms to show the size. Because just because Disney says 4 or 5 people can fit in a room doesn't mean you necessarily want to put 4 or 5 people in some of these rooms.
Yeah.
You will be very cramped all week long. And there have been a couple we've said we don't recommend you book this many people in there.
Unless you have very small children.
Yes. Small children can fit little nooks and crannies.
Yeah, the website may say up to 5 adults, but what it really means is 2 adults and 3 small people.
Yes. 3 little adults. There we go.
So would you like to talk us through some of the highlights of your journey? Because we are now over halfway, so you must have done some amazing things and stayed at some amazing places.
It is hard to believe we're over halfway, too.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It has flown by.
And the whole, I don't want to leave thing, we're still in that right now. So it doesn't go away after 6 months, apparently. And some of the highlights, I've been pleasantly surprised by some of the resorts that I didn't expect to be surprised by. So, for example, French Quarter, where we are right now. I didn't go into it expecting to really like French Quarter. It was never even really on my radar. And this is one of my favorite resorts now, partially because they have beignets. Those are delicious.
They're Mickey beignets.
They're Mickey shaped. They taste better when they're Mickey shaped. It's science. And but this has been a pleasant surprise, and I really enjoyed this resort. At the same time, there have been other resorts that I was maybe looking forward to that weren't as impressive, but the others that have impressed me have more than made up for that. I think it's been surprising, but really fun to kind of discover some of the different resorts and the different categories, things like that.
Yeah. And I love the activities that we found.
Yeah.
Even being the Disney fans that we are, we still didn't know about so many things Disney has. We did the Surrey bike ride for the first time this year. We went in the hot air balloon at Disney Springs. I mean, just all these things they offer. And we're still, we'll find out about something that someone tells us about. And we're like, oh, we have to go do that to tell people so others know about it.
Yeah, I don't think we were quite prepared for the amount of activities that there are to do that are not publicly advertised on the website and talked about very much. We were kind of planning based off what we could find on the website and stuff like that, but there's a lot that goes on that you may or may not see on Disney's official website. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, I think another highlight too has been meeting people, meeting new friends, cast members, and people that are local down here that we run into a few times, become friends with them. That's been really, really cool, and getting to spend time with them, off the clock as well sometimes. And then
spending every holiday at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
That's been really awesome.
That's been kind of cool.
It has been.
Getting every single holiday so you know which ones you want to come back for next year.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact you're still planning your next trip after this year. That just tells us everything about your attitude towards Disney. Has there been anything on the journey that perhaps you wouldn't... I know you mentioned about a couple of the resorts. Is there anything that you've done that you'd say, oh no, don't do that?
It's a short list of things because Disney tends to find the issues and address them.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it takes time. So, for example, some of the rooms in some of the resorts are rather dated, but they are also scheduled for remodels as early as a few months from now. So where we may say, oh, you don't want to go there because the rooms are old and dated, in a year, that won't be the case. So those things we don't really look at as kind of negatives. But I will say, if there's one thing, and they can hate me for saying it if they want to, but the bungalows at the Polynesian look amazing, and they're beautiful out on the water.
And it is an amazing experience.
But I don't think I'd recommend anyone ever book a trip and stay there.
Oh, why?
That was one of our worst experiences of the year, and it's not unique to us. The more we've talked about it, the more we've found out from others, it's the same. It would be worth staying for a night to experience it, and we found this out, you can order private dining in your room and order the entire menu from Ohana to your room.
We were so heartbroken that we found out the last night we were there.
We found out like 10 o'clock at night, and we were already getting ready for bed and everything.
We totally would have done that.
But you can order the entire menu from Ohana. So book it for one night, order the food from Ohana, watch the fireworks from the little deck you have outside, and then check out and go somewhere better. Because if you're going to spend, a week or so in there, it's not a great experience for the amount of money that you're spending. There are other places that cost the same amount, whether you're paying cash or doing points for Vacation Club. They'll be about the same investment. And
the bungalows really are impressive. But if you're not there enjoying it, then you're spending a lot of money for a room for a whole adorable little area you don't get to enjoy. So go enjoy it, be there. But then if you want to go to the parks, go to a regular room that you're not going to stay in anyway. So, except to sleep.
No, I can totally see. That's my viewpoint with my other half. He would stay at Wilderness Lodge for the entire vacation. And then I'm like, but unless we're in the room making the value, we could stay at Pop and have just as much fun and have money left over to go to Disneyland for Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm a big Wilderness Lodge fan. That's my favorite resort. So.
He is. He totally gets it.
What's been the challenges that you've faced on this?
Packing every 2 to 3 nights.
Yeah. When you wake up in the morning and go, oh wait, today's checkout day, and you have to pack everything up and move rooms again. And part of that is as well waiting. Sometimes you check out at 11 and you go to the new resort and your room is not ready until 4 or 5 o'clock. So you have 5 hours to kill, and that's been a bit challenging sometimes, depending on where we're at and everything.
So how many suitcases must you have?
A lot.
We've done pretty well narrowing it down.
We started with more suitcases at the beginning of the year than we have now, because we had them packed in a way that made sense for vacation, but it didn't actually make sense for living out of them. And so we quickly realized about a weekend, maybe 2 weeks in, that we needed to totally revamp the way we had packed. Yeah. So we took all of our suitcases and unpacked everything and repacked them in a different way, and it's worked much better. So we don't have to take all of them with us to every room if we don't want to. Because, for example, I have jeans and dress pants and things like that in a suitcase that I don't carry with me because I am not going to wear jeans in 95-degree heat. So those are stored. But we've got 8 suitcases with us. 7 suitcases with us, I think, and then a bunch of bags for snacks and drinks and things like that. So
yeah.
Oh wow, I can just imagine. So what do cast members say to you when you're checking in? Do you tell them the story that you're visiting every resort and that you're here for the year?
Usually the first response when they scan our Magic Band is, "Wow, you stay here a lot," and then we reply with, "Yes, we're living out of the resorts," and they go, "Okay, cool." Wait, what? That's pretty much the exact conversation we've had about, what is it, 80 times now?
Yeah, or they say, oh, you come here a lot. I was like, no, we just don't leave. And they laugh like, yeah, it kind of looks like it. I'm like, no, really, we've been here since January 1st. I'm like, oh, wow, wait, what? How do you do that? Like, so most people that check in know our story that we've checked in with this year. And then oftentimes the bellman bringing our, 15 pieces of luggage or whatever with the suitcases and the cooler bag and all those things comes to these little rooms, and there's two people with a king bed, and he's dropping off a cart full of luggage. We get some looks because they're like, really, you need all this stuff? And then we usually
where are you coming from?
We usually tell them.
Yeah.
We're not that bad at packing, I promise.
Oh, man. I saw recently on one of the posts that you put on your YouTube channel was the 100 things, and I found that a really, really insightful thing. The little things you found, like the lizards and the cast members and things. Would you like to share just one or two of those?
Yeah, that was a really fun video to put together, too.
That was a lot of fun. It was, so for those who don't know, it's on our YouTube channel, Here with the Ears. And it's 100 things we learned in our first 100 days staying in the Walt Disney World resorts. It was just a fun video we did. I know one of the things was, like she said, the lizards. They're everywhere.
They still are.
Twice
They're
they have
always
been
everywhere.
in our room. They find a way in. They just keep coming. I swear.
And so then I get the job of taking the trash can and trying to catch the lizard.
And it's so funny to watch.
Which is way harder than it sounds. Because there's furniture, and they like to run under the furniture where it's safe.
But I won't go anywhere until they're gone. So it's been pretty interesting, let me tell you. But yes, I love the lizards. I just like to see them outside. That's all I want to do. Like, I don't want them in my room. But
I'll say one of the things that I learned that was unexpected was how much fun the Disney races are. The Run Disney races and the fun runs. The fun runs at the resort are very inexpensive and a lot of fun. But the actual races, the Run Disney races, are amazing, and I have thoroughly enjoyed them. And in fact, the early registration for next year's Star Wars races just opened up for DVC and pass holders. So I booked the Kessel Run Challenge and booked a room. So we'll be back here again for sure in April next year for the Star Wars races because I love them so much.
Yeah. So I remember a couple of them. There was one that was, no matter how old you are, every girl loves being called princess when she enters and leaves the park. I've been called that who knows how many times, and I still smile every time someone calls me princess. Because they'll, hi, princess, have a nice day, princess. Like, aw, thanks.
It's just the best. It really is.
How old you are, you enjoy it. Like, you just love it.
And it's also really cool, too, because we're living here. Every time we go to a vacation club resort, or if they scan our band or anything like that and they can see that we're Vacation Club members, they always say welcome home. And that's kind of awesome when you're walking into the hotel that you're literally living in and they're like, welcome home.
Like, you have no idea.
It's always pretty cool. Like,
yeah.
It is my home. I do live here. I've lived here since January. Hey.
Literally. We literally live here. So that we always smile and, we don't say anything, but it's a lot of fun. And, laundry is an adventure in itself.
Yes, it is.
We've had some fun stories there. Because we're here, but we still have to do laundry. That's still a normal part of life. And so we try to do it when we're staying in a DVC stay because it's free. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we have to pay $6 per load, which adds up very, very quickly. So trying to get to that next DVC stay without doing laundry has been hilarious at times. And sometimes you just have to do a load. And it's like you hear your credit card crying when you put it in. Because it's like $6. I could literally go buy a Mickey ice cream bar for this. And instead, I have to be an adult and do laundry. So, yeah, you learn priorities when you're here.
You kind of make things work.
Yes, that's great.
Because that's the next thing, is that financially, this isn't a cheap thing to do.
No, not at all.
Not.
Not at all.
So what I'm thinking is, at the end of the year, will you both go back and buy a house? Will you want to get, I know that, Robert, you've got your business running, but what's the plan after this project?
So that's a great question that we've been asked a lot, and we've asked ourselves that as well. whatever the plan is, it will involve Disney. Like I said, we already have a trip booked for April next year. We have a Disney cruise booked for our anniversary next year.
And you just booked the Star Wars one.
And I just booked, we're in the middle of booking a Disneyland trip possibly in January, since they announced Rise of the Resistance is going to be opening. So there's a fair chance we're going to Disneyland in January. So it's going to involve Disney no matter where we wind up going. It won't be living in the resorts for another year. We know that much because it's great and it's something we could do and we wanted to do. It's a once in a lifetime experience that you only want to do once. So if we were to do it again, it would be minimum like week-long stays. I think I could do it again if we could do that. But doing 2 to 3 nights, I couldn't do for another year. But we don't know. We're not really sure. We want to go somewhere and get a house or rent a house or whatever. But we love traveling, and I don't see us stopping our travels anytime soon. Just expanding them to other Disney parks like Disneyland Paris, places like that. So we'll see. But we really don't know where we're going next.
Okay. Have you missed anything out of the Disney bubble? What's been a real difficult thing for you to get over that you haven't been able to get access to while you're there?
Family not being here.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any family in the area down here. My closest family is North Carolina. Hers is all in Indiana. Yeah. I guess technically the ones in Arkansas would be closer, but it's still
just normal traditions sometimes you get used to.
Christmas dinner or, Easter brunch that we normally do at my house, things like that. We've missed those and
traveling.
Yeah.
We loved just
road trips.
We were just a couple. We could go out for a weekend or find out, someone's coming into town to do a theater play. I mean, anything, we could just up and go. And so that's been a little different, but at the same time, like when you're living at Disney World, you can still go to Epcot and see
you kind of don't
show.
Need to go anywhere else.
Yeah, so I mean, there are things we've missed, normal. Sometimes you miss normal.
I've missed some food. There's some certain restaurants in Chicago where we used to frequent, and I've missed those specific foods occasionally. But I mean, Disney has some amazing food. They're just very specific things that occasionally I'm craving and can't have. So that's been tough.
Okay. So looking ahead to the next few months that you've got left on this project, what are the upcoming things that you're going to be sharing on your website, on Facebook and YouTube, etc., that people can tune in and really get to be involved with?
Well, we will be at the opening of Galaxy's Edge here at Disney World, so we will be there for that. And, of course, the first day of Food and Wine Festival, which we love. The Food and Wine Festival here is amazing. And Christmas.
I am
looking forward to being here for Christmas. And this is actually a lot of fun. So we own Disney Vacation Club points at Copper Creek. Mm-hmm. And we are staying there over Thanksgiving. So we will be home for Thanksgiving. So that was kind of a sweet thing when we realized it. We're like, oh my goodness. So, holidays can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
But
we're also looking forward to all the holiday decorations at all the resorts because we've never been able to go see them all. And every resort decorates for Christmas. So we're going to go around and make sure we show everybody what those look like at all the resorts. So that'll be really fun. But I think the biggest thing we have coming is going to be a lot more stuff on our website, more of the same on our Facebook and our YouTube and stuff. But we've been working really hard on the website and getting more stuff up there, like our blog posts. And we're working on creating kind of a list of all the different resorts and what we like about them, don't like about them, pros and cons, things like that. So that's upcoming as well. That's going to be pretty awesome once we launch it. So
yeah, so we've got a lot coming. It just takes time.
Everything takes time.
Yeah, especially if we end up at a resort that doesn't have good Wi-Fi.
Which we've had several of those. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it interesting.
Nothing worse.
It is, especially when that's your whole life. I mean, we work and we do stuff here, posting, so.
Which they're in the middle of upgrading the Wi-Fi across all the properties right now, but it, again, takes time. So we're just kind of stuck sometimes.
So would you typically say how many days a week would you be in the parks? Are things scheduled, things like that?
On a typical week, we're probably normally there like 3 to 4 days a week.
Yeah. And that's not like rope drop to kiss goodnight, like.
No, we go for events.
We'll go for 5 or 6 or 7 hours, usually in the evenings after the afternoon rain, and because it clears out the park a little bit. Or we'll go in the morning and then leave around 1 or 2. But if there's anything special going on, we usually will run to the park for that and spend a day there. Tomorrow we're going to Animal Kingdom because they have this new animation experience that you can do, and we got fast passes for that, so we're going to go do those. That'll be kind of cool. And there's some Lion King stuff we haven't done, so I think we're going to do that too. Right. So it just kind of depends, but usually 3 to 4 days we're in the parks. The other days we're at the resorts.
Yeah, we're trying. A lot of the locals can go to the parks all the time, and that's totally fine because they can review a lot of stuff. But our biggest thing is trying to just show all the stuff that there is to do at the resorts. You can plan a full day, and that's totally fine, but after a few hours, if there's something you want to do, they have activities here. They have roasting marshmallows. They have fun runs. There's so much to do here at the resorts that people don't know about. The Surrey bike rides, boat rides, like it's crazy. So we've been doing a lot of the resort activities just to showcase what there is to do here. So like, for instance, at French Quarter, we haven't done this yet, but they have a carriage ride that you can do. It's a horse-drawn carriage. And so we are very much looking forward to doing that soon. So it's just super cute.
And I will be watching along and seeing how much fun you guys are going to have. That isn't on my agenda. What sort of things have you done recently that you would say are a must-do for anybody going over to Walt Disney World?
Ooh. Well, we just stayed at the grand opening of the Gran Destino Tower at Coronado Springs. And even if you're not staying there, just to go inside and see the decor, it was beautiful, and there are hidden Mickeys everywhere. The Imagineers outdid themselves trying to make sure that there were hidden Mickeys all over. And I love that because that's one of the things I don't love about contemporary is they almost made it a point not to include anything Disney. That's sad to me because if I wanted to stay in a resort like that, personally, we could go to Chicago or New York. But if I'm here at Walt Disney World, I want to experience Disney, even if I'm at the resort. So I thought they did a wonderful job there. And they also have 2 new restaurants there, which were delicious. Oh, my goodness. So, and they're also known for their gin and tonic.
Yeah, they have like a build-your-own gin and tonic thing.
Yeah, so a couple friends did that. They said it was awesome. We don't drink, so we can't weigh in on that. But everyone we talked to that went and tried it was like raving about it. So that was really cool. And we haven't, like you said, we haven't done the thing at Animal Kingdom yet. So we'll find out tomorrow how much we enjoy that.
It looks pretty cool, though.
It does look really cool.
Yeah. I would say if you can be here for any kind of opening or kickoff celebration for anything, then absolutely do that, because Disney goes all out for everything they do. It seems like everything they open, everything, the opening day of Galaxy's Edge, the opening day of a festival, opening day for a resort, things like that. They're just always, they do a lot of little things that are all really, really cool. And if you can't do that, if you're into fitness at all, do the Run Disney races. They are a blast to do. Even if you do the princess and you're a guy, it's totally okay. It's still a lot of fun. And then if you're not into fitness, you can still do the fun runs at the resorts where you don't have to run. You can walk.
And Cutie, I walk them.
Yep, she does walk them and takes pictures and everything. But, for example, the one here at French Quarter, when you finish, you get a free order of Mickey beignets. So that's a nice little incentive to finish your walk and do it quickly so you can get those beignets.
And it is a really pretty walk in the morning.
Yeah.
But
I must admit, the carrot and donkey routine always works with me.
Oh, us too. There's a prize for all of them.
All of them have little prizes you get, and most of them at this point have a pin of some kind that you get. So I'm a sucker for pins.
Well, I will be inquiring at the hotels I'm planning to stay at and say, "Where's my run? I want to know what it is." Give me all the beignets, though.
Yes.
Guys, I have so enjoyed talking to you lot and having this conversation with you, finding out about this wonderful adventure that you're having. Please would you share where everyone can find out more, watch all your previous videos and posts, and keep up to date with what's going to be happening over the next 5 exciting months?
Yeah, so the best place is always going to be our website, which is herewiththeears.com, Here with the Ears. And from the website, you can also get to our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all of which are at Here with the Ears. So you can go there to keep up with our adventures. And then if you want a little more of the behind the scenes, some of the more personal stuff, we do have a group called Here We Lead the Ears Family. It's a private group on Facebook, and you can join that to see more of our kind of day-to-day behind-the-scenes stuff that we don't necessarily want to put on the page. So it's a little more fun in the group sometimes.
Yep. You can also find that in our Instagram stories.
Instagram stories is similar to the stuff we put in the group.
Yep, it's easier to post stuff in there. And then our YouTube pretty much has our room walkthroughs and just some fun things we put together. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, I will be keeping my eyes peeled for you guys when I am there. And I'd just like to again thank you so much for giving out time from your wonderful vacation to chat with us today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It was a lot of fun.